So I'm very lucky today to be joined by one of our volunteers, Sylvia. Sylvia, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Super. So Sylvia, tell us about some of the work you do as a volunteer here at the Silverstone Museum.
It's quite mixed actually. I'm very lucky. I get to do education trips when the schools come in and go around with the pupils and the students, because they go from a young age to the university students as well. I also work on the archives, which I'm here today. We've got some original signatures of racing drivers on here. And this one is actually 1985. Ayrton Senna's actually on this one.
Wow, so we've actually got Ayrton Senna there, you've got Alain Prost, Niki Lauda as well.
Martin Brundle,
Super.
Nigel Mansell.
And how do the visitors react when you get to show them this kind of thing?
It's wonderful actually. It's brilliant to see their reaction. They're just so in awe of it. And then they say, can they take a photograph? And I said, well, yeah, you can actually touch it. And that's part of the archives, that you've got this original paperwork, and they can communicate. It feels like you're communicating with the drivers, from those days.
And I'm delighted this morning to be joined by one of our most long-standing volunteers, Leigh. Leigh, you've been with us since the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. October 2019, when the place opened, I was here. I was also here for the opening when Lewis and Prince Harry were here as well. That was great fun. I was the official bodyguard for Prince Harry, so that's a volunteering role that doesn't come up very often, but no. I'm joking, of course, Rob, as you know. You've got to have a sense of humour to volunteer here. It does help.
Okay, it does help, and it's great that you got to see Lewis and Prince Harry. But Leigh, tell us about the kind of day-to-day jobs. We've just seen you meeting and greeting a number of visitors as they come into the museum. Tell us about the kind of meeting and greeting and how that works.
So as a volunteer, you get various jobs to do, various tasks on the rota. So for the first hour today, I've been asked to do some ticket scanning. So I've been given a ticket scanner, talk to the guests as they arrive, give them their wristbands, and talk to them about what the museum can offer them, what they're expecting to see, what the likes and dislikes are, if it's bikes, if it's cars. Tell them about the fantastic viewing opportunities outside the circuit. Today is a great day. There's cars on the circuit that people can get out to see. So we do various tasks. If you like people, it's a good place to be. If you like motorsport, it's a great place to be.
Volunteering obviously gives you that access. You talked about the education, you talked about the archive. Do you have to be have a load of knowledge about motorsport to do this?
No, you don't. You do pick up things. You learn things as you work here in the museum, because you hear so many things all the time. And the idea, keep your ears open, and you'll learn a lot more, and it's great.
So, what do you get out of volunteering here at the museum?
I think first and foremost, it's the privilege of being with all these cars and bikes. I've still, after almost 5 years, I've still never lost the thrill of walking into the exhibition. And we're like a living museum, because the exhibition changes, we get different exhibits in, and then they go, and you're sad when some leave, and then you get something else in, like we had Prost and Senna's cars side by side to each other a few months back, and it was just wonderful.
So as I understand, one of the roles you do as a volunteer here, you've talked about getting close to the cars, is that you actually work and assist with the maintenance of the vehicles and doing various things like that. Tell us about that role and what you do there.
Yes, the cars are not all owned by the museum. A lot of them are owned by people who loan them to the museum, and they're very careful about how the cars are being looked after. So we need to keep them clean, obviously. We need to check the cars on a regular basis, maybe put some air in the tyres if there's a slow leak, check that there aren't oil drops under the car, and generally look after them and make sure that the owners will be very, very pleased that the cars are getting good treatment. But that's a great job to do, and some of the cars, they're kind of priceless, and I remember them from days gone by when I actually saw them racing. So to be a volunteer, to actually get up close and personal and clean a Nigel Mansell car, for example, how else would you get the opportunity to do that?
So getting up close and behind the scenes of the museum is one thing. How about the people? Do you meet some interesting people while you're here?
Do you know, when I'm on here, the people I meet that have been in motorsport, that have worked on, we had one guy worked for 30 years on the Cosworth engine. and what his story. So we learn from the visitors. You know, it's not just us telling them things. They can many a time tell us quite a bit. It's great.
That's lovely. And how about the other volunteers and the other staff? How is it working with them?
It's going to sound really cheesy, but I think we're like a family. I really do. I think we've got a lovely team here, and I've met people here, and I said if you'd like to volunteer, but they live in Dumfries or somewhere like that, but they would like to volunteer. I do like to mention that to people, because I drive 42 miles, so we could easily come down from Dumfries, couldn't we?
You've talked about two different roles, working with the public and working with some of the vehicles. Do you get much training and a chance to talk through what to do in these kind of roles?
Yeah, full training is given. Obviously, it helps if you're able to liaise with people, if you get on well with people. Customer service skills are always good. As I say, a sense of humour goes down well. If it's a rainy day here and people have had a terrible journey, they like to be greeted with a smile, so that helps. But yes, you do get training. In fact, this afternoon we have a training meeting going on for the volunteers. You get snacks given to you by the museum, which is very welcome. So yes, all in all, it's a great way to spend your free time doing some volunteering at the museum.
So what's your favourite exhibit? Is it some of these sort of things, or is it some of those cars and bikes that we've got just over behind us?
It's a mixture. I do love what we've got here very much. I think Red 5's got to be my top dog. And I love the Barry Sheen bikes. And of course we've got Rossi's very first championship bike, as we've got Barry Sheen's first championship bike. But of course Rossi came in and signed it. And it's a lovely little Aprilia. It's a beautiful little bike.
At the moment, it would be the up-to-date Formula One car, to get up close and personal to a modern-day Formula One car, to just experience the size of a modern car. But that's an exhibit that's not here all the time. So of the exhibits that are here most of the time, I like the touring cars. So there's a Rover SD1 from the 70s and 80s. That's a fantastic machine. So that's probably my favourite at the moment.
Leigh, thank you so much. We're so grateful to all our volunteers here at the museum. And if you're interested in coming on board, or even just turning up to find out a little bit about the roles that people like Leigh are doing here, then please get in touch with us at the Silverstone Museum.